with us today Swati who comes from a very illustrious background of impression management as well as personal branding, and she has been in this field for the last 6 years. And in these 6 years, she has helped and coached and mentored different set of people across the social spectrum, right, from students and professions like chartered accountants, doctors, etc. And we want to share with her. One is her experience, as well as what kind of tips can she offer, so that each one of us can develop our sense of appreciation for ourselves, so that we can present better to the society as well as the workplace that we are going to be in. Welcome to ET Cases, Swati.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
And so let's start with, what has been the trigger for you to get into this very interesting space? Is it because you're a girl, so therefore you can present yourself this idea of impression management, or let's say personal planning that you got in, or was there any specific trigger that motivated you to get into this interesting space?
See, I was always interested in fashion industry and glamour, and most of the girls are attracted towards it, I feel, and that's why most of the image consultants are women today,
Yeah.
right? So 90% are women and just 10% are men, but it's not that men can't be image consultants. So glamour, fashion, and also I always, I always used to see people getting too engrossed in their work all the time, but they didn't normally have time to groom themselves, present themselves well. And I always wanted to tell people it doesn't take too much of time to groom yourself, and this is actually a misconception wherein people feel that it takes maybe half an hour, 1 hour, or maybe I have to invest a lot of money. So I actually wanted to go ahead, tell people that looking good is a part of your routine, day-to-day life. It hardly takes like 15-20 minutes, and you have complete right to look good. So that actually motivated me. Yeah.
And if I'm right, you have started your career with a stint in Kingfisher Airlines, right?
Yes.
So I think that's your introduction to the so-called hospitality or service industry as such. So from then, I think you moved on other places and things like that. So what has been the experience since then? Since the time you started working with Kingfisher Airlines. So did you get some good grounding again in airline like Kingfisher, which I think was looked upon as one of the benchmarking airlines in the industry, especially the way the service personnel, especially the flight attendants and all, were groomed and they were presented to the customers, and also what has been experienced there?
Right. I would say that Kingfisher was a very big platform for me to get into this industry, because they were the ones who gave me a lot of exposure. So it's all because of Kingfisher that I started grooming myself, and I started actually looking at myself even more. I started paying more attention on myself. Obviously it was a batch full of girls, and we all were together discussing about dress, grooming, makeup and everything.
Right.
So that actually gave me a lot of exposure. I learned a lot how to walk. I didn't even know how to put eyeliner, maybe, I didn't even know how to put a kajal.
Right.
I was so simple that time, but then it taught me a lot of things. It was a good platform for me to get into this industry.
Right.
Thereafter Kingfisher, I got into BPO industry. Even there I got a lot of exposure, because see, good looks are not always important. You also need to have good communication as well.
Right.
That's also a very
Right.
important part. So the BPO gave me a lot of exposure in terms of communication. So my communication became, I would say, I never used to speak in English so much earlier, because I belong from a very small city, Lucknow, and Lucknow nobody speaks so much of English, even though I was from a good English speaking school. So coming into an international BPO, I got a lot of exposure. I started talking to a lot of foreigners every day. We used to interact with the foreign clients. So communication became a very important part, and that's how I combined both. And I thought, let's do something new. Let's get into some industry wherein you have you need to present yourself, plus you need to communicate well, and how can I implement it, how can I impart the knowledge to others, and that's how I came to this.
Now you're running your own firm called as Persona
Redefined.
Redefined.com.
Yeah.
I think it has been quite a while since you have done this. So when did you decide that yes, I think I have to be launching my own venture, and therefore, what gave you the confidence? Yes, because like you rightly said, I think a place like Mumbai is really full of people like you. I think a lot of other people who are image consultants, etc. And Bombay in general have, because I think this is where the beauty of the rest of the country at least is getting shaped up. So therefore you will have the image consultant. So what gave the confidence? Yes, I think given your age and the credentials, so what gave the confidence that yes, I think I can do a better job?
See, the confidence came as soon as I landed in Bombay.
No, very good.
So I had to be confident. I had no other choice.
Right.
I had to be strong because I was on my own,
Right.
without my family, living alone, managing everything. I was a person who never even used to pick up my own glass of water, but I became a person who used to clean my house and cook for myself, wash my clothes and everything. So I obviously it came with time, and I never realized that how I got exposed, how I became confident, when did I become so strong. Yeah, one thing was always in my mind that one day I had to do something on my own, because I am a kind of person who can never work under anybody.
Right.
Also, I belong from a business class family, so my father was always into business. He used to be a share broker, so I've always seen him managing things on his own. One thing I would like to tell everyone, that when you have to set up your own business, it is not important to be highly educated. It is not important to have a lot of funds. What is important is that you need to be very, very confident about your own strengths that you have. Everybody has strengths and weaknesses. I also have a lot of weaknesses, but I never ever show it to anyone. People show it to others, they become very low in their confidence, and that's what I never did. So I was very, very confident from day one. I was very confident, and I always believed in my strength.
Okay.
My strengths were good communication. I always wanted to present myself very well in front of others. I always wanted to impart the learnings to others. I never wanted to keep it to myself. So that's few things that maybe I thought that why not, and starting from a very early stage, I think 6 years are quite enough to decide establish yourself.
Absolutely. So what has been experience? And I think in the 6 years, if I'm right, you have been dealing with a lot of one-to-one as well as at a corporate level or at a company level, where you're doing this kind of engagements, right? So what has been your experience in dealing with different set of people, like you said, varieties of people, right, from a student to a professional like chartered accountant, or maybe a medico or a doctor or an executive in a company, etc. So what has been experience with dealing with them?
Well, experience has been really good because I love challenges. Initially, it was very, very challenging dealing with different kind of people, different kind of mindsets. Everybody comes with a lot of expectations to you, and you can't really let anyone down. I've got people wherein they used to be so low on their confidence, and they used to feel that it's all because of their clothes and looks, and I had to tell them, see, firstly you need to be confident, and only then I can work on your appearance.
Right.
And they used to feel that if my appearance is good, I will automatically become confident. Actually, it's vice versa.
Right.
So they all had some or the other. It's also connected to psychology, I would say. People are more psychologically, they always feel that they're always drained, or they are fed up with their work, they're fed up with their families. So, and they kind of thought that I would help them psychologically. So you actually have to be a doctor to them, you have to be image consultant, you have to be a trainer, a teacher to them. So all kind of roles I had to play. But it was a good experience, dealing with different kind of people.
Share with us, or with maybe the people who are going to be interested in this image or impression management, things like that. Any insight as to let's take the case of, let's say, the student. So if I'm also, for a moment, I'm the student who's doing a program, let's say in MBA or maybe engineering or somewhere elsewhere, what specific things do you think I should take care of myself, right from the dressing to the grooming part of it, the hair and the look and feel, maybe even the pedicure, everything. So how do you think, these 5 or 6 things that every student should take care of it?
Right. So, see, there are 4 very important factors that are involved in presenting yourself or in forming a very strong first impression. One, I would say, is clothing or attire. Your clothing should be, I'm not saying that you have to buy branded clothes or very expensive clothes, only then you can look good. Even if you are coordinating and mix and, you're doing the mix and match color combination very well, you can still look presentable. Second is your grooming. Grooming is nothing but keeping yourself neat, hygienic, taking bath every day, very normal stuff, taking bath every day, getting your hair cut at regular intervals, wearing clean socks, clean shoes. All these things come in grooming, which normally people don't pay attention because they feel even though my shoes are, dirty, it doesn't matter because my clothes are fine.
So
nobody's going to look at my shoes. But that's a very wrong conception because people actually pay attention to your shoes first and then they notice your clothes, and that's a fact. So second is your grooming, extremely important. Third is your body language. So body language plays an extremely important role. Why? Because actions are louder than words. Absolutely. Everybody knows that, right?
Absolutely.
So even though you're telling me that I really like you, but your body language doesn't show that you like me, I would immediately understand that.
Right.
So you have to actually understand the concept of body language really well, not because you can, not only because you have to implement it on yourself, but it will also teach you how to read others' body language.
Right.
So you can make out in a second that who is lying to you, who is not lying to you. So it actually teaches you a lot of things. It actually teaches you how to read others' mind. Then is etiquette. So etiquettes are also very important. How to talk on phone, how to eat food, how to stand in a queue, how to email. So these are different kind of etiquettes. How to even hold a glass of wine, how to talk to people, how to exchange your cards. All these are minute things which people don't really pay attention on. But I think the MBA students, or it will really help the students because they are too much into studies and they don't really pay attention.
And not just MBA, I'm sure you must
every kind of every kind of student,
right.
And every person it will help.
Right.
I would say professionally and personally both.
You're making a strong case for institutions across country, across the streams, right, from higher education to PhDs and maybe professional education and also higher secondary schools and things at degree level, etc. That there should be one small mandated course in self-grooming kind of thing, or let's say impression management. Do you think?
Absolutely, I totally second that because I feel that this is something which people don't really pay attention on. They just ignore.
Right, and which is very important.
Extremely important.
Right.
See, first, people normally say don't judge the book by its cover. But
you
do we really do that?
And you don't have a second chance to make a first impression.
Exactly. And we all judge the book by its cover only.
Right.
We don't really know the person's background. We don't know how educated is that person. We don't know the credential of that person. If I just look at a person and if I find his collar dirty or if his shoes are dirty, I wouldn't even want to talk to that person.
Right.
So I feel all these things should be taught in every institution, every school, every college. Every institute should have this particular course of grooming, hygiene, clothing, how to present yourself, how to form stronger first
Right.
impressions. It is an extremely important part.
I think that when you look at this either clothing or grooming or let's say body language. See, I think when you look at the body language and communication, I think when you look at this 4 as a set, and I'm just looking at throwing another perspective to it, and that is I'm trying to evaluate these 4 with the help of the cost. Out of these 4, 2 are little. I mean, I have to spend money for. Other 2, I just need to change my attitude. I can, for example, body language and communication with myself. I can do that. But when it comes to grooming as well as the clothing part of it, I need to spend some money. So I think one of the most often quoted misconception is that, I mean, look, I think who doesn't want to look good, whether it's a boy or a girl, and at whatever age he or she is in. But the point is that sometimes it becomes prohibitively expensive because generally there'll be some misconception. So what's your idea? So how do you think people have to spend lots of money so that to look either beautiful or to groom themselves up well?
Okay, so I feel again this is a misconception that people have, that clothing and grooming requires a lot of money. I would like to say that even a person who's wearing a black trouser and a white shirt, which is non-branded, and a very, probably
Normal.
very normal, probably $100 shirt or a $500 trouser, even that person can present himself very well by doing a right kind of color combination, by wearing a clean shirt, just by wearing a clean shirt, and
the upkeep of the, if I'm right, the upkeep of that material is
very important. So these are, so it is already very cost effective. You don't really have to spend a lot of money. Now here I would like to give one example that you've seen a lot of people who have a lot of money. They spend a lot of money, they buy expensive clothes, but they don't really attract you too much.
They don't know how to present themselves.
They don't know how to present themselves. So money doesn't play any role over here, I would say. It's all about how you carry yourself. If you are confidently carrying yourself with a proper guidance, of course, then you can still form a stronger first impression without spending a lot of money.
Right. And then how does it work? Let's say in professional courses like chartered accountancy, or maybe lawyers, or maybe in a medical profession. So how does it work? So do you think it is equally important there as well? Because I think there are two ways of looking at it. One is generally the customer interfacing industries, for example, retailing, airlines, etc., where every day a lot of people, nearly 80 to 90% of the workforce, have to interact with the customers, so therefore you have to really present yourself well. But then there are other industries, like you said, PPO for example. You're not going to be in touch with the customer, but then you need definitely the communication part of it. But then that is definitely one part, one of the four criteria that you said. But how important it is also for some of these professional courses, as well as those industries where the large number of the workforce is not in direct touch with the customers.
Right. Okay, now also here it's a good question, because that's a very common question that people have in their minds. Actually, people categorize the industries and they say that people who are in customer service or who have to directly interact with customers, only they should present themselves well. But I don't really agree with that, because you don't really present yourself well only for others. You do it for yourself.
So it improves your self-image.
Exactly, self-image, your self-confidence. You feel very confident. As I told you before, that I've got a lot of clients who are very low in their confidence. So by just dressing them, for one day, if they wear bright colors, they automatically start feeling very good. Colors also have a very important impact on people. So you don't have to do it for others, honestly. You are doing it for yourself, like hygiene. If I don't clean my nails, nobody will get to know. But I clean my nails because I want to. So
it becomes a part of your lifestyle.
Exactly.
So,
exactly.
Right. I think one more interesting things is that I think most of the times people, think, again, continue what we have started, is that this again set of people called as teachers.
Right.
People think that teachers are very the teaching itself is a very unglamorized or a deglamorized profession. Therefore, you don't have to look glamorous in a deglamorized industry. So do you agree with that? Because teachers are definitely facing the students every day, and their job, maybe over a period of time, maybe 2 years if you're doing a 2-year program, etc.
Right.
So therefore, do you think they should be equally trained in the way, in all this four, right, from the clothing, right, from the body language, or their grooming, or communication? Do you think the teachers as a community as well, because so that they can increase the attention level of the children? Do you think the teachers should also have to be mandated so that on all this forefront?
Yeah, that's a good question, I would say. Again, people feel that teachers are supposed to be very boring. Teachers are very boring. Teachers, very simple. Even though you're simple, even though you're boring, you can still look presentable. You can still form a very good and strong first impression on others. Few things you have to keep in mind, like what we tell our clients is, you have to keep in mind your body shape. We should always wear clothes according to our body shape, not just because you've seen it outside, you've seen it some showroom, you find it very attractive and you come and wear it. What about that person's
you look
body
good
shape.
in this or not?
Exactly.
Yeah.
So body shape. If you just wear clothes according to your body shape, whether you're wearing a salwar kameez, or whether you're wearing a jeans or a normal t-shirt or a shirt, you can wear anything, but it should suit you.
Right.
Second, we tell our clients about colors. Now, as I always tell people, be authentic, be who you are. If you are a person who is very reserved, very shy, who doesn't talk much, then you should always wear very light
Sober
and pastel colors. Yeah. If you are a very loud person, even though you're a teacher, you can still wear loud colors. There's no restriction about it.
Loud colors
So,
in the sense, can you?
like bright red.
Okay.
Okay. Then you can wear anything in bright. Loud means anything which is very bright. So even a brown can be very bright. Even a white can be a very bright white. Okay. So any color which is bright is a loud color. So these are few things that you have to keep in mind. Like for example, you always should wear accessories according to your face shape. And people don't really pay attention on their shape of the face. So even a teacher can look presentable if he or she just pay attention to these few things and yet be very simple and sober.
Right. Very good. I think so. I think we will hope that the teachers and also pay attention to this one, so that they can expect their wards, or let's say the students, to pay attention to this one. But I think one of the other things that we are talking about some time back is that I think it makes a lot of sense both for both the genders, maybe female or male people, to focus also on their walking. Okay, from your experience in Kingfisher and maybe your own experience in the last 6 years, how important it is, and maybe with your permission or maybe for the audience sake, can you demonstrate what is it like, for example, let's say power walking kind of thing,
Sure.
especially the kind of walking that happens in offices. It's not as a ramp walk kind of thing, but then definitely when you're going in a team. So I think the walking does play a important role, because
Absolutely.
the walking actually sets, according to me, or correct me if I'm wrong, is it actually sets the pace for the rest of the people who are walking with you.
Correct.
So from there, brisk walking. So therefore, can you demonstrate for the sake of audience what, according to you, is I would say, for
Ideal walk.
Ideal walk, or maybe power walking is what I
Power
said.
walking.
Because we
Right.
have something like power dressing. So
Right.
is there something like power walking kind of thing?
Right. You should feel very comfortable.
Right.
There are many people who keep feeling very conscious about their clothes, or they keep a lot of things in their mind. There are a lot of things running in their mind. This, I have to do this when I reach home, or oh my God, I'm getting late. So they either start walking very fast, or there's too much involved in their thoughts that they walk very, very slow, and they forget that they are walking on the road and people are still watching them, okay, or somebody is still walking with them, okay.
Right.
So be comfortable. That's one key point that I would
What's
like
the
to
best
say.
way to learn this one? Of course, before we get to the actual demonstration, what's the best way? Because you have anything, or do you think there are some websites, or you have some material, or what is like in each one of them? Not just walking, for example, let's say, like you said, somebody has to be very conscious about the kind of dress they choose, according to their face kind of, or physique kind of thing. But there should be some science behind it. Do you have some material, or is it somebody like you who can help them kind of thing?
See, I feel that walking is something which can't be taught. Which can't be taught. So we don't have any material or any content as such. It comes through experience. Experience is the best teacher.
Right.
Okay. So you observe people.
But someone
and-
like you,
yeah.
do you also mentor people as to how to, for example, you are a
I
consultant?
do, but I don't take a long hours to tell them. It's just a very small session, like a 20-minute session that I take with them
Right.
normally, wherein I just tell them how to walk, because I have also learned from my experience only.
Very good.
I have also learned, I've also participated in a lot of beauty contests earlier when I was very young. So I've learned from there, I've observed a lot of people doing it, and I feel, yes, you mentioned it right, that it is a very important part of building your first impression.
Absolutely.
Right, I'm just going to show you all for like 10-15 seconds how are we supposed to walk. Right, so when you're walking, first very important thing is the eye contact should be there. You should never look down, you should always look up, you should always look straight. That's one very important thing that you should keep in mind. Second very important thing is, when you're walking, you should never drag your feet, right? So there shouldn't be any sound coming out when you're walking. it gives a very, very wrong impression on others. When somebody is walking with you, they would definitely have a negative impression of yours, right? So whenever you're walking, you have to actually lift your feet and walk properly, right? Like this. You should never do a brisk walk, especially when somebody is walking with you, right? So respect the other person and walk at the pace of the other person. That's a very, very important thing. So if somebody is walking with me at a faster speed, probably I can ask that person to slow a little and walk at my pace. If that person is walking at a normal speed, I should also walk with the same speed, right? So just walk with a normal speed, look straight, and that's about it. Never look down and walk. If I walk like this, people are perceiving me as a very, very, as a person who is very low in confidence. So when you look down and walk, you are actually perceived as a person who is low in morale. So never look down and walk. So yeah, these are the few tips that I would like to give.
Thank you, Swati, for the demonstration. I hope it will be of some use to people who are very conscious and who want to really help themselves in putting up, I would say, maybe I won't say ideal walk, but at least an interesting or at least presentable walk with your permission. Now, we started with this idea of how this impression management actually fits into the broad framework of what's called as personal branding. And if I'm right, the four things that you said, right, one is the clothing and the grooming, the communication, also the body language. Do you think these are the only four things that somebody can use to brand himself or herself? Or do you think anything else is there?
No, definitely more things are also required. This is just, obviously this is a very, very vital part of presenting or branding yourself. There are other factors involved as well. The other factor and the very important factor today is the social media. Social media has become such an important part today. I mean, how your profile picture is, how your profile picture is. Is it a very casual picture, or are you looking very professional in that? Today, most of the recruiters.
So what about LinkedIn kind of thing? Because they're also, I think, like you rightly said, one is the very social networking kind of thing. But if you look at the professional networking, which is largely represented by LinkedIn, I think largely people are there. So between these two, what do you think, or what has been, or what your suggestion for presenting themselves, so that, because right now, I'm sure you will agree with me with the fact that a lot of these recruitment agencies, before they contact the person, they do the background search and verify and all that. And therefore, the presentation or the, let's say, personal branding of somebody X, Y, Z, and that becomes very important, right? So therefore, so between these two platforms, one is the social networking platform where it's friends and things like that. But they can also be professional friends kind of thing. But when you look at LinkedIn, it's absolutely professional, right? So therefore, how do you think somebody should exercise caution in presenting themselves so that they're actually building a personal brand for themselves?
Right, well, alright, both are extremely important. Now Facebook or Twitter is no more just limited to social media. It has also become a professional media kind of a thing. LinkedIn, I have interacted with a lot of professional people, a lot of entrepreneurs as well, who come and tell me, LinkedIn is extremely boring. I don't even go to it now. I don't even log in. I mean, so how do you promote yourself, or how do you go about it promoting your business? So they tell me through Facebook, through Twitter. So I feel, yes, LinkedIn is an important part. You should keep yourself engaged in that, going through the recruiters' profiles and updating your profile. Whatever new you're doing in your profession, you should always update.
Active role in discussion forums.
Absolutely, discussion forums are very important. But still, I feel that Facebook and Twitter has taken over LinkedIn today. People are more active on Facebook and Twitter professionally as compared to earlier days now. I get most of my work, 80% of my work that I generate is from Facebook, including this one.
Absolutely.
Right? So people actually come and contact me through Facebook. I promote myself through Facebook. Pictures play a very, very important part today. Whatever work you do, you need to show it to people, right? So unless you don't show it, people wouldn't believe it.
Right.
So this is all show business here, and jo dikhta hai, wohi bikta hai. So you actually have to believe in that. And I think this really helps in your personal branding. How you're branding yourself. Also, it is very important. These social media should also portray your true picture. Don't portray what you're not. So
That's very important.
very
Very
important, extremely
Absolutely.
important. So personal branding is what if somebody gets very impressed by your social media presence, but when that person meets you, you're somebody else. You're totally somebody else. So that's of no use.
Absolutely.
Actually.
It becomes a, I think, anticlimax.
Absolutely.
Very
So
true.
you should be very authentic, and I keep using this word authentic because today people actually try to be somebody else. They want to be like
Wrong impression.
yeah, so that's
False
actually
impression, I would
false
say.
impression.
Right.
So you have to be very unique in terms of your social media presence, online or offline.
So you just present just the way a typical brand does.
Just the way you are.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I think one of the I won't say last, but then one of the things that people again talk about is when somebody is so much invested in presenting himself or herself, do you think he or she becomes so self-centric? Because I want to look good, I want to be I want to make myself presentable. So therefore, that's one. So do I become self-centric, and therefore the second drawback, or maybe the second the way of looking at the downside of it, is that do I actually end up judging other people also based on the way I'm supposed to? Because, for example, what I'm saying is, so I have understood the importance of grooming and things like so. Speak and smile, and then I've done a good job. So I come to the office and I look at everyone, and they're nowhere near what I'm supposed to, or what I'm doing, or what I'm expecting them to do. So therefore, do I make a quick judgment on them and saying that, yeah, I mean, these are not the people that I want to interact with them. So therefore, these two things, have you come across these kind of problems where somebody becomes, or he or she becomes self-centric, as well as, they use the same personal statement to judge other people? Because you don't know, different set of background that people come from. Like you rightly said, a few years ago you came from a different background. Maybe over a period of time you have rediscovered yourself, and now what you are. Maybe 10 years down the line you will find another, or people might find another Swati, which is evolved Swati kind of thing.
Correct.
But then you have the right attitude in place, so therefore you move on. So do you think, have you come across these two phenomena where somebody becomes very self-centric, or for that matter, like you said, people end up judging other people based on their own personal statements?
Right. Okay, so about self-centric, I don't think people become self-centric. The right word here would be you start actually loving yourself more, and there's no harm in that. Even if you love yourself, even if you look at yourself in the mirror like 20 times a day, there is no harm in that. You have to. You can spend 20 hours at your workplace and doing stuff and making presentations and meeting clients, but why not? Why can't you pay attention on yourself, grooming yourself, buying nice clothes which suits you, wearing right kinds of clothes, getting a nice haircut done? Why not? So there is no harm in that, and I think today people have actually forgotten that. They are too much into their work, and they don't really pay attention to this. So I don't think the right word is self-centric. The right word is loving yourself, and that's absolutely normal. I think if you don't do that, that's not normal.
Okay.
You should do it. You must do it. Now, the second question was, sorry.
I think the second one that we are talking therefore is that because you are into self-loving, so therefore do you end up judging other people wrongly?
Okay, so here I would say that now judging other people has been going on from I don't know when.
No, what I'm saying is, Swati, honestly, is that, for example, let's say you're my boss, okay, and then you are self-loving in your own words and all that kind of thing. Also, for a moment, I'm one of your colleagues who have just joined, so I'm nowhere near what you expect, let's say, a male well-groomed person or blah, blah. So maybe in terms of dressing, in terms of grooming, blah, blah, and so therefore, imagine you make a professional judgment on my the soft side of it. Maybe professional I'm good, in my job, what I'm supposed to do, that's fine. But then when I come to present my ideas, or let's say in a meeting, so therefore maybe I don't come across as a person who's very close to your ideal colleague or whatever it is. So therefore, do you make a quick judgment on me and say that, forget it?
Right. No, I would say that I or anyone who loves to present themselves and who makes stronger impression in front of others, they never judge anyone negatively. Even if I feel that
I would rather they shouldn't.
They shouldn't. And they don't actually. I have not met anyone till now, even my fellow image consultants, they never judge anyone. Okay, if we start judging, how will we teach others? So I always tell my clients also that when through my learnings, through my teachings, when you start grooming yourself, you start imparting knowledge to others. All right, never judge anyone. So if somebody feels that you're not wearing a right kind of tie, they should come and tell you, instead of this tie, if you wear that tie, that would suit you more.
Right.
So judging is a wrong word. I would say analyzing is a right word. So analyzing is good in a positive way. Judging somebody in any way is wrong. It's
Right.
very negative.
So I think maybe as a last question, where do you think people should start from? Let's answer for a moment. Somebody is just getting, baptized into this whole, the spectrum of impression management. Where do you think, you said 4 criteria. So where do you think somebody should start from, so that first of all, like you rightly said, somebody should have self-confidence, and therefore somebody can go through this, each one of them, because maybe some of them have to go through all 4 of them at once, or do you think they have to go one by one? For example, let's say communication. For example, somebody is not good at, so does he or she have to start all 4 simultaneously, or do you think, step by step, you do this one first and you do this second kind of thing? Do you suggest that?
Yeah, obviously there is a sequence.
Okay.
The most important part in forming first impression is actually clothing. The most important, the biggest factor is clothing, because if you come to me and just walk down, before even saying anything, I would just see your clothes and grooming. So I think clothing, and you should always start from clothing and grooming. Second is your body language, because obviously even before you speak, your body language would speak, right? So how you're walking, okay, how you're looking at me. So people actually analyze you from that. So body language is the second thing. Third should be etiquette. So how you're eating, your tone, how you're shaking hands with me, right? So that's actually third. And the fourth and the last, shockingly, communication, which people don't understand. People actually feel communication is the most important part, but in forming stronger first impression, communication comes the last, and it plays the least role in actually making stronger first impressions. So communication is like 20-30%, and clothes are actually 50-60%. So that's the
great. So I think maybe I would say one last one from the business side of it. So how much do you charge for your, so let's say somebody has to consult for you on a one-to-one, let's say a student or maybe a professional like a doctor or so, how much do you think? And what's the time that somebody can take with you? How you take for going with him or with her through all these 4, and then how much do you charge?
Right. So see, these four things are actually divided into 10 sessions. Okay.
Oh, 10
so
sessions.
10 sessions.
Okay.
So let's say personal style is one session, lifestyle evaluation is another session, then we have color evaluation, wherein we tell the client what colors will suit you. We have fit and fashion clinic, wherein we check your body shape. We have makeup and grooming, wherein we tell the women clients especially how can you put right kind of makeup, and also we check the face shape. Accordingly, we tell the client what kind of hairstyle will suit you, what shape of specs will suit your face shape. So it's actually divided into a lot of sessions. It includes etiquette, body language, a lot of things are there. Total 10 sessions are there, and every session has some fee attached to it and the time attached to it. So it is not compulsory that the client has to take the complete package.
No, I'm saying, so let's say somebody wants to go through end-to-end.
End-to-end.
Yeah. So how much does he or she have to, so that he can plan? That's the whole idea, is that they can plan. And then at some point maybe, let's say somebody's doing an MBA program. Let's say he gets into the program or she gets to the program. Maybe because he or she has got 4 semesters, right? Now let's say, assume for a moment, from the 2nd semester onwards, because he or he has got 3 more semesters to go, if she starts acquainting herself or himself with you, so that they have a time to go through this entire end-to-end module. So how much do you think a student or maybe a professional, do you think will cost them?
Right. See, the time they have to engage at least 25 hours into this. So 25 hours can be divided.
Spread over a month, 2 months.
2 months, 3 months. So normally I get clients who are free only on weekends, Saturday, Sunday. So I if they want to give me 10 hours or 8 hours in one day, they can do that. If somebody wants to give me 2 hours in a day, they can do that. So it's on a span of 25 to 30 hours. It's totally on the convenience of the client, and it takes about 25 to 30,000 for the entire 10 sessions. End to end.
And then, but suppose let's say somebody asks you from outside Bombay, so what happens to them? Let's say somebody from Lucknow itself, they ask, yourself.
Right.
Do you think, how do you scale up this kind of service?
Well, I have not yet started outstation consultations, but I'm planning very soon to do Skype to Skype consultations very soon. Maybe by next month I will be starting that.
Very
So that I can the outstation clients can also approach me, and it will be very convenient. I am even planning to start a half an hour, 1 hour quick consultations for people who don't have a lot of time. They are too busy traveling and
just
stuff.
quickly, yeah.
Quickly, just half an hour, you look at me, you just see my body shape, and just quickly
tell
tell me few pointers that you feel that will I need to work on.
Yeah.
So there are a lot of things that I'm planning to start. There are a lot of things that I'm already doing. So they can always go to my website and check the details, because there are so many things that I'm doing and I'm exploring right now in terms of different sessions and training.
By the way, her with your permission, her website is very interesting. She has got these blogs and all that, and you should visit the website called is personaredefined.com, and I'm sure you would find a lot of interesting stuff for what do you say, for redefining yourself or rediscovering yourself. Because I think unless and somebody tells you yes, this can also be used as one of the very strong I would say, maybe for want of any other word, a weapon to impress someone, why not? I think you have somebody like Swati who can take you through that, and those of you who are interested, please get in touch with her through website, or she's also there, like you said, on the Facebook in the same name, that is Swati Maria, and I'm sure you will find this whole journey of rediscovering yourself very interesting. Thank you so much, Swati.
Thank you
and
very much.
from all of us at ET Cases, we